Welcome to Off the Clock with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey Trish, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Happy Friday.
Indeed. I'm glad it's Friday. Sun
You know
is out.
what?
It's a warm, sunny day here in my part of the world, which is very nice.
Same here, but it's kind of given me like the whole springtime headachy vibes. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm ready for it to just get warm and stay warm, and then I can deal with summer. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
kind of
In
my
fact,
plan.
right after the show, I plan on working on my base tan for this summer.
I don't know. For anyone that watches the show, it's like this is the only time of year where you and I are sort of the same shade of tan, lack of tan. Yeah, and then you just start going outside like every day and you get really, really tan. So great. I'm looking forward to that. Hey, listen, I since I was headachy, I've actually not been working for like the last hour, but I stumbled upon
Mm.
something I want to share with
Gonna
you and
gonna
the
make a note
listeners.
to dock your check next week. Yeah,
Dock
go
my
ahead.
check, man. I had to take a real break. I had to take a real break and get over this headache. But
Mhm.
no, so I turned on the TV, which I normally kind of work to music. So I turned on Hulu and I don't know, do you have Hulu? I guess
I don't know.
any of
Probably.
these streaming places, it'll put up like a video recommended for you up front. And
Mhm.
so I want to get it right. It's called Captive Audience, a Real American Horror Story, which
Nice.
I don't know. I kind of like crime stories. I've gotten out of them a little bit, but
Okay.
do you remember, I don't think it was like a back to school special, but years ago, probably like when we were in end of high school, early college, there was a show about a boy in California who was 7 and he got kidnapped, Steven Stainer,
Okay.
Stayner. And he was kidnapped for 7 years and there was like
Wow.
a mini series movie made about his life. And so anyway, this fast forward to now and Hulu is doing, I don't want to call it a documentary, but sort of
Okay.
about it's with his family. I don't want to give anything away, but what's shocking to me is that they went through all this hoopla of getting him back and then the media coverage. And he had an older brother who
Mhm.
was kind of always in the background. I didn't realize, put this connection together. Do you remember the guy that was a serial killer in Yosemite a couple years ago?
I got to tell you, I don't follow the
You don't
serial
follow
killer
this?
news as much as other
It's
types
this
of
kid's
news.
older
So,
brother. His older
wow,
brother turned into a serial killer.
what are the
His
odds?
name's Carey, Carey Stainer. He murdered 4 women in Yosemite. I
Wow,
so anyway, if you're
it's a lot to
listening,
process. Yeah.
if you're so it's really weird. So it's like a horrible story that everybody knows they got the kid back, so kind of a happy ending, if you will. And then their
Somewhat,
other
yeah.
son turns into a serial killer. Like,
Yeah, so mixed ending. I'll say it that way, I suppose.
and I haven't watched it all. So now I'm like, oh my gosh,
Mm.
it's just very, very emotional. So anyway, something people can check out on Hulu this weekend.
All right,
How's that?
very good.
Yeah. So what do
What
you
you
got? What's going
Well,
on? What
what
have
you may
you
need to, speaking of streaming, what you may need to hurry if you want to check out, because you
Oh,
don't have much time, Trish.
okay.
Were you aware of that there was something that was launched about just a couple weeks ago, March 29th? CNN Plus. Have you heard of this thing? CNN Plus?
I only heard about it for a split second yesterday as they were saying it was being gotten rid of.
Yeah,
So
it basically is
what's
going to be
going
closed
on?
down on April 30th. Essentially, 1 month it lasted. According to one news report, it had fewer than 10,000 viewers at any given time. And apparently CNN and or whatever company owns CNN. And I think part of the problem is they were merging or being acquired by some other company. And
Oh,
the new executives weren't too keen on the whole CNN Plus thing. So they're shuttering it all down. They've thrown like maybe 50, $100 million down the proverbial drain. And sadly, some folks probably lose their jobs over this too. But man,
what
not,
is it?
well, it was supposed to be like basically an add-on to CNN with news shows and
Mhm.
interview shows and maybe some documentaries. They were going to rerun like all
Mhm.
the Anthony Bourdain archive of all his travel
Oh,
shows that ran on CNN for a long time. So
yeah.
it was that type of thing. You had to be kind of, and I don't know if such a person exists. You had to be like a CNN super fan maybe to want this thing, and apparently there weren't many of those. So
Yeah.
RIP CNN Plus. Hopefully not just like poor people who are just trying to do a good job or out of a job, maybe some like dopey executives
Right.
who thought this was a good idea. maybe they'll be out as well. I hate when like Better.com, right? We've talked about on this show a number of times. They had a third round of layoffs, by the way. Like,
No.
yes, they did. I didn't get to it on the show. I had a note for it, and we just never got to it last week. They did round 3 of layoffs, and I just feel like it's just the regular people who just get caught up in this suffer the most, and not the people who made the really awful business strategy decisions to lead companies into these awful things. So yeah, so goodbye CNN Plus.
Well, a couple things. Number one,
it.
if you're at, what is it, better.com?
Better.com. Yeah.
Better.com. If you're still there, please go quit your job and go find there. This is the time, right? There are other jobs available. Please start looking now, because that's just going to keep happening. That's a culture in that particular company.
Yeah.
But for CNN Plus, 2 things that strike me. One, is a month long enough to even give anything a chance, right?
I'd say no. I have like rye bread in my cupboard that's like older than a month. I'm still trying to see if I can work it out.
But the other thing too is, and I just oddly read this like a month or so ago. I was shocked when I'll have to look up where I read this, but it was like the numbers of how many people actually watch CNN and kind of the estimate of how many watch Fox News Channel versus like your standard NBC, CBS, ABC kind of news. And it was shockingly low for both Fox and CNN. Like, I thought more people would kind of be right or left.
I'd agree with you. And I think a lot of times
people are in the middle.
The kind of people who consume a lot of that kind of content on both sides of the spectrum tend to be really shouty. So like, I think we just hear from them a lot, and it makes their numbers seem higher. There's no doubt about it. Like, I know I talked about this book and I passed it along to you recently, the 90s book by Chuck Klosterman. He made a really good point in that book when he talks about media and what's happened, what media was like in the 90s. And you can look back then, and obviously there were many fewer choices, right, for people to consume entertainment-wise and media-wise in their homes especially. But, tens of millions of people would watch just some random sitcom on NBC on a Thursday night. And, maybe 1 million people watch CNN in a given day. Like, it's like so many more people would consume kind of normal media than do today, just because of the the bifurcation and all the choices and everything else.
You know what, though? I think it has to do with, I think you and I even see this in what we do. I mean, if we call this, a form of media and communication, I think that
it's a form of something.
I think people crave some amount of consistency. You want to sort of know whether that's a TV show, something like, so again, back in the day, it was the Cosby Show or Friends or Cheers, right? MASH. There were different shows. People just like, that was kind of their thing, right? The Simpsons. Every Thursday night in college, I remember we used to go to like the local bar and get hamburgers and watch The Simpsons or whatever.
That's weird. Okay.
I know, isn't it? But no, I think there's something to be said for some amount of consistency and less drama, right? There are other ways to get drama. You can go to CNN if you're on the far left. You can go to Fox News if you're on the far right. It's a little exhausting for the rest of us who are just kind of in the middle.
I'll give you my one news recommendation, and then I want to put on to some more fun things. I like, for a news show, because it's just straight up news with really no spin or no opinion.
Are you and I going to agree on something here?
The News with Shepard Smith comes on at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's on CNBC, the business channel. If you just want like a half an hour of just boom, give me the news straight up.
I agree.
No like panels of talking heads yelling at each other. It's really, really good. So I don't know if anybody's watching it besides me. Shout out Shep Smith on 7 p.m. Eastern time on the news. I like
him a lot. He is just solid. Again, consistent. He seems friendly. You feel like you could know him. I love that. I love that kind of news and information. I think.
All right, Trish, it's Friday.
Curious is too bad. So what else you got?
Can we do a couple of funner items, more fun items, more hopefully fun items?
Can I add one serious one before and let's end on fun? I just want to give a shout out to our friends at iSolve, because they have been really tweeting out. It is April, for anyone who is not aware, is Autism Awareness Month. But what I liked about what iSolved is doing, they're calling it Autism Acceptance Month.
I like that.
Meaning that there are things that you can do that go beyond your normal approach to hiring, to working with people who are on the spectrum. And I will, after this show, we've done 3 podcast
I
episodes.
think there could be more, but at least
There could be
3
more.
recently.
3 not too long ago on different neurodiversity and autism awareness and how to hire people who are on the spectrum, how to work with them in your organization, and all the benefits. So I just wanted to plug that and say we will share that for Autism Awareness / Acceptance Month. So
I like it.
what else you got fun? Let's end with
Trish, I was
fun
looking
note.
at our website, h3hr.com, that juggernaut of great content. And
It's so good.
I just, for some reason, I looked at like the countries that people have arrived at our site from.
Okay.
Okay, over the last 30 days, Trish. What do you think is the strangest country that someone has landed on our site from? I got a couple here that
I have not looked. Tanzania.
I don't know if that's on the list, but Trish, Nepal. We've had one visitor from Nepal
Really?
in the last 30 days. I thought that was exciting.
That's very exciting.
One visitor from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I don't know if they were in Bosnia or Herzegovina, or perhaps both at the same time, but one from there. One from Peru, which I thought was
really
cool. And 2 from Turkey. How about that? There you go.
Well, welcome to everyone who is listening to the podcast or here on the vlog, right?
All right, I've got one more, Trish. You missed the show on Wednesday. I don't know if you listened to my solo show where I debuted.
I did.
All right, I debuted a new feature, a semi-regular feature, which is ripped from the headlines, headline of the day.
Let's hit it.
Okay, Wednesdays was about like spacecraft probing Uranus, if you recall. This one's not quite as funny, but this is from vulture.com, Trish, headline of the day. I thought was funny. Here it is. Just going to read it. No comment. The headline is, Nicolas Cage's shiny suit, one late night this week. Oh. There's your headline of the day.
I want to talk about it. Okay, I'm not going to talk about it, but I will say literally right before we went live, I saw that he has a new movie out. Did you see that? I'm guessing that's why he was on TV plugging it, maybe?
Perhaps.
I don't even know the name of the movie. Like literally right before we went live, it was since I was watching television. No, it's like some movie where Nicolas Cage is like this guy's best friend as Nicolas Cage, which is really funny to me. So
kind of meta. That's cool.
What if Nick Cage was your best friend? I feel like he would stress me out. I love him, but he would stress me out. I feel like he would be very angry for some reason. I don't know. Is that wrong? I don't know. Anyway, hey, have a good weekend.
Yes, you as well.
Bose and everyone else out there. Thank you for listening and dialing in as always and tuning in. And definitely check out the tweets we'll send out after this with some links to neurodiversity
check out my
and autism.
And check out my new show on CNN Plus. You can only get it for another few days. Check it out.
All right. Have a great weekend.